Welcome to our weekly study of the Chassidische Parsha in Likkutei Torah, arranged by the Mossad HaTorah, Yagdil Torah, and its illustrious director, Rabbi Levi Braud, and his staff. This week's shiur is designated Le'ilui Nishmasa of Masha, Bas Reb Chaim, Rafal, Yitzchak, Zichroina Levracha, Yehei Zichra Baruch. This week's parsha is Parshas Emor, and we find the Maimer Dibra Maschil Vehenif Hakoyen Oisam on Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph in Likkutei Torah. You can also find it on chabadlibrary.org/books. Before we begin, let us discuss a little bit about the sacrifices that were sacrificed in the Beis Hamikdash on Shavuos. Firstly, we have the sacrifices, the karbonos timidim that was sacrificed every day. They were karbonos oila, a sacrifice that totally was consumed on a mizbeach. And then we have the karbonos hamusafin, the additional sacrifices that are recorded all in Parshas Pinchas. But in addition to that, there's something very unique about Shavuos. There are many more karbonos, also karbonos musafin, that are discussed in this week's parsha, Parshas Emor. In Parshas Pinchas, the Torah tells us, "Uv'yem ha'bikurim ve'akrivchem mincha chadasha la'Hashem." On the day of the Bikurim, which is called Chag HaBikurim, like Rashi says, Al Shem Shtei HaLechem, because of the two breads that were brought first that year on a yearly basis on Shavuos from the first ripened grain, Shtei HaLechem. It's not referring to the fruit, because the fruit were brought from Bikurim ad ha'atzeres and can be given to the Kohen any time during that time from atzeres to Chag, ad Chag, I'm sorry. Me'atzeres ad Chag, from Shavuos till Sukkos. Rather, it's called Bikurim, Chag HaBikurim, because the Shtei HaLechem that were brought from Bikurei Kitzir Chitim, as Rashi explains in Parshas Pinchas. How many sacrifices were brought b'yom ha'bikurim? So the Torah tells us, "V'yikravtem oila la'Hashem, yishei reach nichayach, parim b'nei vaka shanayim, ayel echad, and shiva chavasim b'nei shana." 2 cows, 1 ram, and 7 sheep. The Torah continues, "V'asisim seir izim echad," and also 1 goat for a chatas. The other sacrifices were karbonos oila, totally consumed on a mizbeach. But then we have something very unique on the Yom Tov of Shavuos, as mentioned, recorded in our parsha, Parshas Emor. The Torah Akdosha tells us, you should bring the Shtei HaLechem, Moshe Vayseichem, Taviyu Lechem Tenufa. Shtei HaLechem Shtayim Shnei Esroinim. You must bring the Shtei HaLechem. They have to be waved and have to be waved and risen high in the hands of the Kohen. And then the Torah says, "V'ikravtem al halechem," and along with the breads, as an obligation to the bread, intrinsically connected with the bread, "Yikravtem al halechem." You should bring shivas kevosim temimim b'nei shana, in addition to what was spoken of in Parshas Pinchas, like Rashi says. 7 sheep, Shivas Kevasim B'nei Shana, Ufar Ben Bakar Echad, 1 cow, 1 bull, Ve'elim Shenoyim, and 2 rams, Yiyu Oyla La Hashem. They should be an Oyla, carbon Oyla. And then the Torah Kedosha continues, Va'asisem Seir Izim Echad, another goat that is brought as a carbon chatos. So we have Shnei Seirei Izim Lechatos on Shavuos. Again, Va'asisem Seir Izim Echad Lechatos, that goes along with the bread. Ushnei Chevasim B'nei Shana Lezevach Shalomim. And then we bring a peace offering, 2 more sheep, altogether 9 sheep, 7 sheep carbon oila, and 2 sheep carbon shlamim, carbonais shlamim. They should be, they have to be brought along with the bread. And then the Torah continues. And this is what the Alter will be discussing in this week's parsha. V'heinif hakoyen oisam al lechem habikurim tenufa lifnei Hashem. The kohen should raise those animals. We'll soon see specifically which ones. V'heinif hakoyen oisam al lechem habikurim, along with the breads, which is mentioned before, that have to be raised. Taviu lechem tenufa, taviu lechem tenufa. Here the Torah says, along with those breads that are raised, you have to raise also the animals. Here Hashem says, not stam tenufa, but Hashem says, tenufa lifnei Hashem, before the Eibishter. Lifnei Hashem, before Shem Havaya, as will be explained, higher than the level of Shem Havaya. Will be discussed later in the Ma'amar. What animals have to be raised along with the bread? Al Shnei Kivosim. Those 2 above mentioned sheep, that were the Shnei Kivosim B'nei Shana Lezevach Shalomim. Those sheep that were brought as a Karban Shalomim, as a peace sacrifice. The Alter Rebbe will be discussing this at length. Many questions the Alter Rebbe will be discussing. For example, why dafka do we raise only the 2 sheep that were karbanes shlamim along with the bread? What's that intrinsic connection of karbanes shlamim with the breads? Perhaps if you're raising already sheep, uplifting them, which shows on a high level, bilmata l'mayla, you should perhaps choose to lift the karbanes oila, not shlamim, which shlamim seems to be a lower level. And also, as mentioned before, why did it say tenufa lifnei Hashem? Before it just said, taviu lechem tenufa. Why is this also done only on Shavuos after the counting of the Omer? Why are those breads as Shtei Alechem brought from chametz, leavened, chametz te'afena? And many questions will be explained. In the beard, there's a long explanation on this small maimer. It's a difficult maimer and a very long, beautiful beard. We'll have to, with Hashem's help, we'll touch on some points discussed in the beard. Over there, the Alter Rebbe will explain also why the bread is raised on top of the sheep. The sheep were raised when they were alive, tenufa mechayim, and the breads were put on top. That also will be explained, and many other diyukim. Incidentally, before we begin, we mentioned before that Hashem says, "Uv'yom abikurim v'akrivchem mincha chadasha la'Hashem." What do I mean? V'yom abikurim, says the Eibusher, when you bring that new sacrifice, that flour sacrifice, from the new ripened grain of that year. That's why it's called the Habikurim Mincha Chadasha LaHashem B'Shavua Yiseichem, the holiday of Shavuos, when we count the days and the weeks that we culminated by the day of Shavuos, when we reach the Shara HaMishim, the 50th gate, as explained later in the Maimer. So you should sacrifice so and so. So there's an interesting drush for Necham Sofer. And he says here the Torah also alludes to the fact that the Minig Yisrael Torah that we sacrifice on Shavuos, we bring up on our tables of the Jewish homes, a shulchan as daimel mizbeach, we eat milchigs on Shavuos as well. That's also a sort of korban to the Eibishter in our homes, on our shulchanos daimel mizbeach. And that is, behakrivchan, we elevate, we bring up mincha chadasha laHashem bishavu oisechem, is Rosh Tevis mei chalav, from milk. And that means that we eat milchiks. Everything is alluded to in the Torah HaKadosh. Let us begin the Maimer. Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph in Likkutei Torah Parshas Emor. Sagt der alte Rebbe, the hein if hakohen oisam al lechem habikurim tenufa lifnei havaya. The kohen should raise those sheep along with the breads that were brought from the first ripened grain, those first breads that were brought in the Beis Hamikdash that year from the new crop, to nufa lifnei havaya. They should be raised along with the breads lifnei havaya, before the Eibishter. Which animals in particular? Al shnei kevasim, I'm talking about the bread should go along, says the Eibishter, with those two sheep mentioned before, shnei kevasim b'nei shana lezevach shlamim, the peace sacrifices, the karbanei shlamim, not the karbanei oila. So to that, the Gemara says in Masechta Menachos, sha'alechem u'mai lechulu, that the breads were on top. Shemein if hakavasim im alechem biyachad, we raised the sheep together with the breads together, but the breads were on top. What's the special connection that we combine and we join the kvasim with the lechem in the rising of the breads, in the waving the breads and raising the breads? The tachlis of the whole creation is, as it's brought down many times in Hasidus, and then Ayom Yom the expression is, the Eibusher created the world from ayin leyesh, and it is our goal to make the world from yesh back to ayin. In other words, as the world remains with its continuous creation from the Eibusher, but it should always be recognizable and heard that the level of ayin, the bittul to the Eibishter, make the world, transform the world from yesh to ayin. And that happens in every world, spiritual world and in this physical world, according to the madrega of that world. In some worlds the level of bittul is higher, and in some worlds it's a lower level of bittul. The ultimate objective of bittul is, the main concept of bittul really means to be total batul and nichlal in the light of the Eibishter, and to be totally connected and one with the ultimate unity, in a level of ultimate unity, such as the Alter gives an example of Eivari Haguf b'nefesh hachayunis, as the unity of the Eivari Haguf along that are connected, the limbs of the body of the person are totally connected and bottled to the nefesh hachayunis, to the living soul that breathes life and gives life to the body. Hashoiro mislabish b'soicham, that dwells and is enveloped in the body. That nefesh hachayunis is totally connected with the body. It's mislabish in the body. She'ein lehem chiyus acher mi baladei chiyus hanefesh. So because the body has no other chiyus, no other life force besides the chiyus hanefesh, and that is why the body is totally bottled to its life force. And therefore the Eivarim are always under the guidance and under the obey of and fulfill the Ratzon HaNefesh, the desire of its life force, the soul. Bevitul vis achdus gomer, with a total bitul and nullification. Going back says the Alter Rebbe, to the Nimshal, as mentioned before, that the objective is that all the world should be bottled to its source, to transform from the yesh back to the ayin as it remains a world. And so also should be all the souls of the Nefesh HaChayunis bottled to the Eibishter. Just like the body is bottled to the Nefesh HaChayunis, to its life force, so also the objective is that the Nefesh HaChayunis itself shall be bottled with all its koiches. That means meaning the essence of the soul of the Nefesh HaChayunis should be bottled to the light of the Eibush, the Hashayro Makif al Roishay, that is present and rest on the Nefesh HaChayunis. So everything has to be transformed back to its source and bottled to its source as it remains, of course, a world as it was Hashem's desire. But the issue is, as says the Alter Rebbe, in the nature of a person from birth, it's hard to find such a type of bittul that the Nefesh HaChayunis, the Nefesh HaBahamis, not talking about the Nefesh HaLekis Chas V'Sholem, the Nefesh HaChayunis, so to say, the animal soul, should be bottled in such a degree like the body is bottled to the Nefesh HaChayunis. V'dugmasi einei nimtza b'gashmis klal levatel v'tzoyni mipnei l'tzoyin achelim v'chinas bittul zeh ki ilu ein lo yrotzin achei klal. You can't find something similar, such a similar level of bittul, that there is no that you only hear the source and the mocker, only the rotzen, what is expressed should only be the rotzen, the source of the from the mocker, the source of the animal soul, of the Nefesh HaChayunis. And that is all that should be revealed, as if there is no other rotzen, no other rotzen, that we don't find such a similar bittul and achdus in this Gashmiistic world as we find it, as the body is bottled to its nefesh. Where do we find it, says the Alter Rebbe? Elateva zoi, this nature, he b'vehema. By the animals we find that nature. Shehein b'teilois, b'ritzoin hamanhigam. Animals by nature, they do have that nature, a bottle to the desire of their owner, their boss. Those that lead the animals. Wherever the owner and the shepherd wants to lead the animals, he makes them go. They never deflect from their purpose, from their duties, from their mission. They're totally bottled to their manhig. And the reason for that is because the source and the chayes aliki, the godly life force of these animals, are b'harei kodesh, on a very high level, holy, holy, tall, high mountains. Harei kodesh, which is an expression in Tilim. We say it every time before benching. Likkutei Torah, a psalm written by the descendants of Korach, Shmuel HaNavi's children and grandchildren. Likkutei Torah Mizmor Shir Yisudasai B'Harei Kodesh. It's based and it's all written about Yerushalayim, that Yerushalayim and then Har HaMoriah, the Temple Mount, are all spoken of in this capital Tilim, Harei Kodesh, Yerushalayim Harim Savi V'lo. And Alter Rebbe uses that terminology a lot of times in Chassidus. You say Dasai B'Harei Kodesh. When you want to speak about a source, a very high level source of Kedusha, you say Dasai, its foundation is based on a very high holy mountain, B'Harei Kodesh. Interestingly enough, that Yonasan ben Azil, Targum Yonasan ben Azil translates that the Bnei Korach have said, have written that psalm, that Mizmor, B'Harei Kodesh, what they have been Mekabel, B'Harei Kodesh, min avhasa, mikadmas dinah, from their ancestors, from previous generations, which is very similar to the Alter Rebbe's Taich. You say, Dasai B'Harei Kodesh goes back and based on very high level madrega. Speaking in particular about the level, the source of the animal, says the Alter Rebbe, he madrega yisel yoinois be'erein say baruch hu, very high supernal levels in the light of God, of the Eibishter. And therefore, the Sham, heim b'v'chinas bitol be'erein seif mamish. And over there, in their source, the animals are mamish, bottle, to the light of the Ein Seif, of the Eibishter. Ella shenaflu lamata mata, when they came down into the body of the animal, they came down lower, lower than the madrega, than the level of the person, of the human being, than the nefesh hachayunis of the person. V'nimshach b'chinas bitol lamata tachas yad ha'adam, and their level of bitol has been drawn down to be bottle lower and obey the person. They came down lower than the level of the Adam. But the quality of bittul still remains in them. And that is what we find. And this is the whole concept of sacrifices that needs to be sacrificed, the behem on the mizbeach on the altar. The oila with the comments under the lamed. The oila chiyusa, and her chayis, the chayis of the behemoth goes back, and the chayis, when it's sacrificed on the mizbeach, goes back to its source, which is a level of bitul mamish in the light of the Eibishter, as it was before the animal came down, as before it came down in the body of the animal. So the Indian of Hakravas Hakravana Yisrael Gami Mizbeach shows on the transformation from Yesh to Ayin. And why dafke animals? We'll soon see why dafke cattle. In particular, why not domestic animals? Even, not talking about wild animals, but why not sacrifice domestic animals? Because since the whole Indian is a representation of bittul, Hayesh la'ayim, that is expressed only by the cattle, and not by animals. That's an expression of the Gemara in Masechta Menachos. The karbonis were from bakar, from cattle, and from sheep. All types of cattle, and is not but from animals, not even domestic animals. Why? Since it's supposed to represent the bittul back to its source, so this quality of bittul we find in behema more than chaya, and in the animals itself, in the cattle, in the world of behema that was sacrificed on the mizbeach, which one was usually sacrificed? It was mainly sheep. We're chosen mainly the sheep. Why? Because the quality of bittul is brought down in sheep more than any other animal. Because cattle, which its source in the chariot and the merkava, everything has its source. Everything has its source, the Ma'ila, as represented in the merkava, the vision that Yecheskel HaNavi saw, that we read in Haftarah and Shavuos. And over there it speaks about Pnei Aryeh El Yamin, Pnei Shoyim Asmoil, and so on. Everything has its source in the Merkava El Yoyla. The Rebbe once asked by Fabrengen, I think it was a Shchodesh Cheshvan, Toshin, and Vav. The Rebbe asked that it's interesting to note where was the source in the Merkava, where was the source of fish? Fish. The Rebbe didn't say there's no answer. The Rebbe said, Yesh la'ayin, he wanted the Hasidim and Yidden should look into the matter and speak about it and discuss it. Perhaps one might say that that its source is from the Pnei Nesher, from the birds that we find also in the chariot, in the angels, that there was a Pnei Nesher, a face, an image of an eagle. And we know that birds were created min harakak, from the mud, from dust and water. In any case, let's move on. Zot weiter the Alter Rebbe, bakar, the shoydish, the source of bakar, cattle, oxen, bulls, and so on, is taken from the face of the ox that was on the left side of the chariot, of the angel angelic beings that were uplifting the chariot, which is Bechinas Gevurais. That's a level of severity. Smoil, oxen. Smoil in itself shows on Gevura, left. V'gam shoy, we also find the character of shoy. Menageach, it gores, which shows on Gevura, severity. Menageach bekarnoi. V'izim, and so also goat. Heim gamken Bechinas Gevurais, right? They kick and they're wild, also a level of Gevura. But sheep, heim Bechinas Rachamim. They are very merciful. And therefore we find that who was the one that occupied himself with sheep was Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov was the Bechina from Tiferes, Midas Rachamim. Avraham is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gvura, Yaakov is Tiferes. And we find that Yaakov Avinu occupied with sheep. V'aksavim hifrid Yaakov. His occupation was mainly with sheep. V'aksavim hifrid Yaakov. Yaakov separated the sheep. Later on, the Alter Rebbe will go more into detail about what Hifrid Yaakov means and so on. But the Bible Alter Rebbe is saying simple. That Yaakov's occupation was with sheep, because sheep are a merciful creation, and Yaakov's inyan was the Midas HaRachmanis, Midas HaTiferes. Shekevosim hein b'vchinas meidoisav shel Yaakov, b'chinas Rachamim. Ki hakevosim yesh lehem koil Rachamanos, because the Kvosim have a koil Rachamanos. Shema oirei Rachamim. They arouse mercy. The sound of the sheep is a very merciful sound. They arouse Rachamanos. The source of the sheep is from a very high level, which is Mikoyed Rachamim, the source of Rachmanis, the source which is the source of Rachmanis in all worlds, all the midas of Rachamim, i.e., from the Yud Gimel midas of Rachamim, from the 13 attributes of mercy. Hashem, Ki Racham V'Chanon, a very high madrega. And that's the source of sheep. And therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, Benefilas, Hachayos Lamata, and therefore, even as it's drawn down the mata, from that source into the animal, into the sheep, Nimshach Lehem HaKoil. So we find that in the nature Hashem has implanted in the nature of the voice of the sheep. Shema Oide Rachamim. They arouse mercy. V'gam him chaloshim betivam kisel dasam. They're also very weak in their nature, which shows the concept of bittul. Not gevura. Nikaru murgosh be'em teva habittul. And therefore, you find in them the nature of bittul. So from all animals, the sheep represent bittul the most, and that's why those are the animals that are mainly sacrificed on the Mizbeach more than cattle and more than goat and so on. Says the Alter Rebbe here, very interesting. In the brackets, Taf Lamed Zayin, Omid Beis, the second column on top, we find another interesting quality, and that is that the sheep have wool, very, very much thick wool that cover its body. That is a very high, also representing a very high level. And in their level, at that level, they are very bottled to their source. They wrap themselves around in their wool, as the expression is. Sheep wrapped around in its wool, because they're bottled to their market. Now, Rebbe will explain a little bit. Zohar Gadol is a certain edition of the Zohar that was printed in a Kamina, which is there. The book is called Zohar Gadol, a different edition than the regular Zohar prints. Zohar Gadol al Pasik. Hevel also brought from the choicest of his sheep. So it says in Zohar as follows. By Cain it says, Vayovi Cain pri ha'adama. It doesn't say pri admosai, from the fruit of his land, from the fruit of the land. By Hevel it says, from the choicest, best animals, his sheep. And then it says, and from the fattest sheep. So it says Tzaynoi, and then it says Meichel Vehen. Why does it say Mebchayros Tzoynoi? Why does it not say Mebchayros Hatzoyn? Umechelvein, from the best and fattest sheep, choicest and fattest sheep. Why Mebchayros Tzoynoi? And Zohar HaKadosh answers, Mebchayros Tzoynoi means, is referring to the Kutchabrichu Keviyachal. He was sacrificing and trying to bring down from the level of Tzoynoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from its source. As the Alter Rebbe continues here a bit, Machashavtei Hava Ba'hu Asar. His mind was geared, Hevel's mind was geared on that source, on that place, the Ismar Bey, which is spoken of in Tanakh Daniel. It says that Daniel saw a vision of the old man sitting on the throne, and it says, the Atik Yoimen Yisiv, the old man is sitting, and he has Levushe Kislel Chivar, he's wearing a white garment, like white snow. Usa'ar Reishei, and the hair of his head is Ka'amar Nekei, like white pure wool. Very high madrega, the madrega of Atik Yoimen, as explained in Kabbalah and Chassidus. His Atik and his Arich in the level of Keser, way beyond the Olam HaAtzilus. And that's where he wanted to draw from the hair of the Bechina of Atik Yoimen, which is discussed in Daniel, Usa'ar Reishei Ka'amar Nekei, that the Atik Yoimen had hair of his head was like white wool. And that's where Hevel wanted to be mamshich from the level of the Sidus of Atik Yoimen, a very high source of the sheep. The Tzemach Tzedek in Likkutei Torah Parshas Shoftim brings this Likkutei Torah, and he's Messiah over there to Pirkei Rebbe Lezer, Perek Chav Dalet, where the Pirkei Rebbe Lezer says that actually Hevel, when he brought that sheep as a korban to the Eibishter, he did not shear the wool. He brought it along with the wool, full of hair, full of wool, as it was wrapped in its so to say a lavush full of tzemer. The Kutchabrichu, and therefore the Eibishter was mekabel it. It says Hashem was accepted that korban of Hevel. Machashavta tova tzirfo lemaisa. That machshava, as Alter explains in Tanya, if you join the machshava along with the maisa, that machshava tova of Hevel that he wanted to be mamshich, draw down from the level of Saris, the Tzemer of Atik Yoimin, the Saris of Atik Yoimin to be mamshich Lamata. The Eibishter was mitzarif that machshava as well, along with the maisa of sacrificing the whole animal, of the sacrificing the whole animal in general. Uveginda, and because of this, Kabile Chulu, Hashem accepted it because he brought the animal from the choicest, fattest animals, but he had that beautiful machshava. Hashem was mekabel that machshava, and Hashem also was mamshich. He fulfilled his request and was mamshich at that moment from the level of Atik Yoimin, from Sidus, from the Amar Nekei, the pure, beautiful wool of Atik was Nimshach Lamato. So till now the Alter Rebbe discussed the quality of animals, the ones, a bittul, the whole tachas of all the worlds, of the whole purpose of all the world creation, of all the worlds is to transform the bittul back, the yesh back to ayin. And there are many levels, says the Alter Rebbe, in that aspect. By animals, we see that quality very much more than by human beings. By human beings, it's difficult to find that quality by nature, says the Alter Rebbe, such a bittul, like the bittul of the limbs of the body to its life force. But by animals, we see that quality. And in particular, by sheep, they're very merciful and they're very buttle to the shepherd and the owner who leads them all the time wherever the owner wants to take them. They always follow their duty. Says the Alter Rebbe, as the Alter Rebbe goes along to explain eventually soon, hopefully very soon. You have to finish within the hour. We'll try to sum it up. Says the Alter Rebbe, when the chiyus, when the chayus of the animal comes down lamata, the life force comes down below here in this world, the Gashmis, Nikra'os or Nikra'as, b'shem kvosim. Then the sheep are called kvosim. Now, the Rebbe is going to explain at length, especially in the beard and the beard that follows. There's kvosim and there's kesavim, right? Kvosim, usually they're called kvosim, the base before the sin, and sometimes they're called kesavim. As mentioned before, ha-kesavim hifrid Yaakov. Yaakov separated the kesavim, not kvosim. Over there it says the sin before the base. So the Alter Rebbe, in the light of what we just mentioned before, we can explain why sometimes it's called kvosim, sometimes it's called kesavim. Hine benefilas achiyus lamata begashmis nikrois. They are called b'shem or nikroim. If you say if it's referring to the chayus, it's nikrois. So referring to the sheep, keves is lashon zachar. So it's nikroim. They're called b'shem kvosim. Ha-beis koydem l'shin. The beis goes before the shin. What's the inyan of beis going before the shin? Ki ha-beis, because the beis beis alludes to the level of chachma, as it says in Mishlei, b'chachma yibana bayis. A house is built and erected with wisdom. Shlomo Melech says, b'chachma yibana bayis. Uvisvuna yiskoinen, and with understanding, with bina, intelligence, with bina, the house is established. Its upkeep is with bina and expanded and so on. But the initial building is with chachma. Chachma is the initial sfira. Everything begins with chachma. Chachma represents the level of bittul, as we'll soon explain. So, beis, which is lashon bayis, house, the beis shows on chachma. As we say, bereishis bara elikim, reishis is chachma, reishis chachma yiras Hashem, right? Bereishis nami maimer, who is one of the 10 utterances, which represents shiras chachma, reishis, and actually the beis alone, bereishis bara elikim, beis represents chachma. Ki ha-beis roimes l'bchinas chachma, v'ashin roimes l'gimel kavin, to the 3 levels, to the 3 kavin, hamistafim v'nimshach lamata, the 3 passages that branch and out from chachma and are drawn downwards. So first goes in Seder Ishtalshalos, first goes the base, and then comes the shin. Just like in the tefillin, we have the bias. Rebbe speaks a lot about this in the Maimer Isab Melesh Tilim Toshen Chav Ches, about the Amshocha from the Ritzuas, from the Shal Rosh. And the Rebbe is a little bit meramis to what we're going to be speaking now. It doesn't speak all the details there, but it's interesting to follow up over there. Isab Melesh Tilim Toshen Chav Ches from the Rebbe. We find in the tefillin the bias representing the house, that's Chachma. And from the tefillin, actually in the Shal Rosh, we have a shin ben gimel kavin, a shin ben dalet kavin, a shin with 3 kavim, and a shin with 4 kavim. 4 stripes, different levels of chachma bin das, how they're drawn into midos. And then you have in Das alone, Das Elyon, Das Tachtoin. And then you have the Ritzuas are drawn down from the tefillin, corresponding to the heart. As Adal Pi Halacha, it has to reach at least the heart, the Ritzuos, which shows of the Amshaka from Moichen and Midos. And also, interestingly, that also the Ritzuos that come out of the Bayis, the tefillin Shal Yad, are also like a shin. Harav Rivkin Olav Shalem. In the Sefer Ashkavta, the Rebbe speaks about it, that we find that we make on our arm a shin that come from the bayis of the tefillin, and then also on the hand also we have a shin ben gimel kavin, 3 stripes, and then 3 stripes, and then 4, a shin ben gimel kavin, a shin ben dalet kavin, that come from the batei hatfillin, which represent chachma. So the Alter Rebbe says, so as they are drawn down the mata, we have first Chachma and then the Shin. And the Shin represents the Gimel Kavin that are drawn from Chachma. Chachma and Bina and Das Elyon and Das Tachta, and from there are the midas are born. The emotions and all different levels of midas. Mashen ken kishem lamayla b'mekoyra mim achadus echad. But as they are lamayla, over there it's not called kvasim. Over there they're totally united. Over there they are called kisavim. That shows an ultimate unity as they are all bottled to its source. You don't see, so to say, the advantage of chachma over the shin, over the midos. V'sham nikla kesev, over there it's called kesev. Hashin koydem lebeis. The shin goes before the base. Shahashin hu midos el yoynois shalamayla me'achachma v'aseichel. The shin show midos el yoynois, which in essence, in the source, when they are in their source, the midas even have a higher source and a stronger source than chachma and seichel. Chachma and seichel are more limited, legabi the power of the midas, as they are expressed in their source, and that is why over there lamayla it's kisavim. The sin goes before the base, before the level of chachma. And the Alter Rebbe says, "V'nikra bezoyar turei chashaycha." Turei chashaycha, the mountains that are unilluminated, not illuminated, they are such a high level that cannot be grasped with the oir haseichel, with the light of the seichel. It's, so to say, darkened from the seichel. Turei chashaycha, which is obviously, of course, corresponding what the Alter Rebbe said before, Yisaidasan beharei kodesh, the high holy mountains. Here the Alter Rebbe is calling it Turei Chashaycha. Those high holy mountains are mountains that you don't see the light. Turei Chashaycha. It's not illuminated. It's beyond grasp of Oira Seichel. Later on at the end of the Shir, Mitzvah Hashem, hopefully your time will allow us, I'll tell you an interesting story about mentioning before, building a house and renovating the house. Shlomo HaMelech says, "V'chochma yibana bayis u'visvuna yiskoinen," which corresponds to the Jewish woman. She is the level of Bina. Bina yiseda nidna bi'isha yosim ish. And she is the one that should be renovating the house. I'll share with you a nice story at the end of the Shir that the Rebbe told someone in Yechidus. Stay tuned. Zok weiter the Alter Rebbe, v'haksavim hifrid Yaakov. Speaking of the high level of Kesef, where over there the sin goes before the base. Perhaps it's the same concept of Nekeva to Soivev Gover, that the woman is a higher source. Eishes Chayla Teres Baila, the sin goes before the base, before the level of Chachma. The Midas are higher than the level of Chachma in Shoirish. So it says in Parshas Vayetze, V'akesavim, Hifrid Yaakov. Hifrid means he separated, which means to say, She Yaakov, as mentioned before, who is Midas corresponding to Midas Arachamim, who Hamamshech, he is the one that drew down Bechinas HaKsavim, he brought down Ksavim. Referring to, when you see the word Ksavim, obviously it means how they are in their source. You say, Dasan Baharei Kodesh, Turei Chashaycha, higher than the limited comprehension. So Yaakov Avinu drew down the Ksavim, Hifrid Yaakov. She Yaakov, who Amamshech Bechinas HaKsavim, Mibechinasum Madrei Gosam. Yaakov brought down the Ksavim, which show how the Ksavim, the sheep, are implanted in their source, and he drew them down to where from the Bechina and Madrega, as they are found in their source, in that high level, he drew them down to the level, to the world of separation, where you see, so to say, one could feel, chas v'sholem, it's not a world of separation, but one can chalila feel separated from his source, chas v'sholem. And he drew down, which over there, in that level, in that world, it's called kivosim, the kaf goes before the beis. So he was mamshich from the ksavim into the level of kivosim. Kidei, so that she nimshach bechinas habitul, gam ba'almo defruda. So that the level of bitul should be nimshach also in the level of hifrid, in the level of pruda, you should be mamshich from the source. In other words, that the ayin should be nimshach into the yesh, and therefore the yesh should feel bottled totally to the ayin. So Yaakov always brought down that hamshacha, so to say, to remind all the time the creations, their source, how they are implanted, to remind the kvasim how they are sourced and based in the ksavim. And this is what we find in the Chumash, that it says, as hakeves echot ta'aseh v'aboiker ve'es hakeves hasheni ta'aseh beino aboyim. As hakeves echot ta'aseh v'aboiker ve'es hakeves hasheni ta'aseh beino aboyim. So now Alter Rebbe is going to go into a wonderful beer over here, an explanation that this pasuk, what does it mean? One sheep should be made in the morning, and one sheep should be made in the afternoon, beino aboyim, after chatzos hayoyim. And who is the one that does this? Tzaves b'nei Yisrael, the bechina of Yaakov Avinu, who's called Yisrael. Tzaves b'nei Yisrael, the b'nei Yisrael, the level of Yaakov Avinu, should make a keves echad ba'boiker and a keves hasheni ta'aseh beino aboyim. So the Alter Rebbe v'oinyan bir, and this is ki boiker. What's the level of boiker? Who boiker da Avraham? That's the level of boiker da Avraham, the morning of Avraham Avinu, which is intrinsic connected with Avraham Avinu, the bechina from Chesed Eli and supernal kindness. In the morning, Alois HaShachar is Meir Chut HaChesed. That's what we make Kaparas of Yom Kippur in the morning as well, early in the morning. Then there's Nimshach Chesed in the world, Boiker da Avraham, and as it says, Vayashkim Avraham ba-Boiker. Bechinas Chesed Eli. Shemispashet Eirin Seiv Baruch Olamayla Adin Kesu Lamata Adin Tachlis, which we know the Chesed Eli knows no limits. It's mispashet l'mayla lamata adin tachlis. But what's the in of drawing a keves? What's the in of drawing a keves into the bechina of boiker da Avraham, into the level of the morning, into chesed? But then the chishtal shalos leyislapshus, as it's drawn down the level of chesed, yesh yinika va'achiza liklipois v'sitra achad alenik nagdusha. Sitra Achad, the evil spirit, is able to nurture and to creep in, heaven forbid, and nurture from Kedusha, which is the Bechina of Bechinas Oholei Kedar. Shachanti im Oholei Kedar, David HaMelech says in Tilim Meshir Amalis. Shachanti, I rest with Oholei Kedar. Simple pshat that the pasuk means, David HaMelech is speaking about the days of Golus, that we rest amongst the Bnei Yishmael. All a Kedar represents on the Mamlacha, or kingdom, that is associated to Mishpachas Yishmael, Bnei Yishmael. And most of the exiled people, Jewish people, dwell again along with Bnei Yishmael. And even those who physically are not dwell along the Bnei Yishmael. My father, Lo Shalom, once pointed out to me that in Chumash, Hashem told Avraham Avinu, Yodei v'akoil v'yad koil boy, al panei cholech yishkoim, about his son Yishmael, who's called Oholei Kedar, the dark tents. They dwell in the dark tents, as they are always living outside in tents, and the tent always faces the heaven, the sky, rain and sun, and it becomes darkened. Oholei Kedar, and they are dark faced as well, the Bnei Yishmael. So I'll call upon him. It says over there, "Hu yodei v'akoil v'yad kol boy," will be a man of the field, a pet of Adam. Yodei v'akoil v'yad kol boy. So the Tagamunkel says something amazing. It says, "Yodei v'akoil, hu yehei tzrich l'choil." He'll have to come on to everybody. V'yad kol boy v'hakoil yu tzrichim lei. Everybody will have to come on to the Bnei Yishmael. That's a golus. And perhaps that's the oil, the energy, that everybody's running after them. And it's interesting, perhaps, when the Rebbe would always urge by Fabrengens, Alef Nissen, and many other times, Toshim Mem Beis, or Mem Aleph, that America should develop its energy. We have enough to export, it ever said, to the whole world. A blessed country like the United States should stop depending on energy of the outside world. That was also an Indian perhaps of breaking the klipa of Yishmael that will terminate the golus of Yodei Vakoel V'Yad Koel Boy and bring an end to this, and Mashiach will come, Mitzvah Hashem. That's just the thought. It says over there, I rest among in golus, Jewish people rest among the Ahle Kedar, the tents of the people of Kedar. Kedar means dark. Actually, a pot is called a kedera because the bottom of the pot is always dark from the fire, and the coal darkens from the fire on the bottom. Akolponim says Al Terebe, there could be also in spiritual sense shachanti im Ahle Kedar, that the kedusha, unfortunately, could be drawn into the Ahle Kedar, into the klipa. Avraham actually told the Eibush, Lu Yishmael Yichi Lefanecha, that from the Bechina of Avraham Avinu could come a Yishmael and nurture Chayis Lu Yishmael Yichi Lefanecha. As the Rebbe speaks in the Sichas all the time, in the Eilik Sichas, it says, Avraham Yotza Mimenu Yishmael, Yitzchak Yotza Mimenu Esav, Yaakov is Mitosei Shlema. Every child was only Kedusha. There was no Yotza Mimenu, says the Rebbe. From Avraham there was a Yotza Mimenu. From Yitzchak there was a Yotza Mimenu. Meaning to say, there was an Achiza, unfortunately, of Klippa from the Kedusha, nurturing from Kedusha of Avraham. Chas v'sholem Avro. And so also by Yitzchak. The Klippas Edom, Klippas Esav, and Klippas Amalek. Yaakov is Mitosei Shalema. So, from the Chesed of Avraham Avinu, could be a unique Sachitzoinim to all a Kedar, which represents the Bechina of Lu Yishmael Yichi Lefanecha. It's interesting to note, a side note, that in the Moitzi La'or, those who wrote references to the Likkutei Torah, they refer to Shir HaShirim, Capital Aleph Pasuk K, when they write Ahle Kedar. In my humble opinion, I think it's they should have referred to Tillim. Besides that, Tillim goes before Shir HaShirim, but in Tillim it's discussed over there the union of the Bnei Yishmael, Ahle Kedar, and the Golus. And he's mentioned right after Hu Yishmael Yichi Lefanecha. Rather, in Shir HaShirim, that's not the discussion over there. The Ein Kan Amokim Laharich, this is not the place to be Ma'arich anymore about this. You can see for yourself and perhaps choose which pasuk should be referred to here, or at least to also refer to the pasuk in Tillim. And therefore, since there could be a unique asachitzayin from Avraham Avinu, therefore it was incumbent on Tzavas B'nai Yisrael, on the Bechin of Yaakov Avinu ben Yisrael Achamim, whose occupation was always with the Kvosim, which represent Bittul, as mentioned before. Shu Bechinas Bittul, Bechinas Rachmanis, in a way of Rachmanis, mercy, which is the highest level of Bittul, that there shouldn't be any unique asachitzayin. Shalayim Shachayin and Save Baruch Hu, Rak Bechinas Bittul, Lias Eirin Save Sheirum as Galabim Mishabat of Davka. That Eirin stuff should only come in a level of Bittul, into a level, Rak Bechinas Bittul, only when there's Bittul. Not Chas v'Sholem Chitzayinim that don't want to acknowledge their source. That's Esakeves Echot Ta'asev Abayka. So Yaakov Avinu's occupation was to be mamshich in the Boyker Avraham, that it shouldn't be a unique asachitzayinim of Lu Yishmael Yichi Lefanecha. It should only be as a keves echad, a bechina from bittul, bottle to the Eibishter, to the Eibishter, to Hashem echad. Veis a keves hasheni ta'aseh ben aboyim, and also in afternoon they only marked one keves, not two, which represents the yin of bittul. Veis a keves hasheni ta'aseh ben aboyim, which that is the time corresponding to Yitzchak. Zman Shlitas Midosai Shal Yitzchak, which is the Bechina from Gvura, Bechinas Gvurais. Because over there in Gvura without Chesed, which is the fusion of Midas HaTif'eres, Chesed and Gvura together. If you only have Chesed, there could be a Yunik HaSachitzoinim. If you only have Gvura, there could be a Yunik HaSachitzoinim. And therefore, Yaakov Avinu had to draw down on the Bechina from Bein Ra'aboyim, the Bechina from Keves, La'amtikon, to sweeten the Gvurais, and the Amshach is Bechina, to sweeten the Gvurais. Amshach is Bechinas Bittul Zeh, Beis Klasim, Bechinas Boyker, Bechinas Bein Ra'abayim, Na'asa Yedei Yaakov. And this, as mentioned before, was done through Yaakov Avinu. Shehu, Yaakov Avinu represents the Bria Chatichain. You had the upper bars and the lower bars holding up the Mishkan, representing the Jewish people, and you have the Bria Chatichain, the middle bar, which is Yaakov Avinu Midas HaTeferes. Shu Bria Chatichain HaMavriach Min HaKotze El HaKotze, that extended from one wall, from one part of the wall to the other side of the wall. And that's Midas HaTeferes, Yaakov Avinu. In the middle is Teferes. And that's why Yaakov Avinu separated the Kvosim. From Mibchinas Ksavim, HaKsavim Hifrid Yaakov, as mentioned before, he drew down from the Ksavim to the level of Kvosim. When the level was, the Ksavim, as they were in the Shayrish Makar, the sin went before the Beis, total Bittul, Livchinas Kvosim Laum, the Pruda, to the level of Kvosim, which shows the world of separation, a world that feels Chas Shalom separated. The Ischalik Beveis Bechinas Madreges Shaynois, that they can be, and that they should be divided. The level of Ksavim should be drawn into two separate levels, the one in the morning, the one in the afternoon, which is the Bechina of Chesed and Gevura. Now comes the level of the sacrifices on Shavuos, after the count of 49 levels of count, after we reach Shashar HaChamishim, which over there we see total unity of all levels together. Not Echad Ta'aseh V'Aboiker, Keves Hasheni Ta'aseh Bin Ha'Aboyim, which after all shows on a separation of Chesed and Gevura, but Dafka we join on Mechaber the two-piece sacrifices, the two Kvosim, which are Korbanei Shlomim, together with the breads, as Al Rebbe will go on. B'Shvuos, what happened on Shavuos when we reached the level of Chashar HaChamishim, the highest level, the 50th gate after the 49 counts, after we refined the Nefesh Bahamis, and then we have lechem from Chometz and raised together with the Shnei Kvosim, the Shnei Kivsi Atzeres, which were Korbanei Shlomim. And here Gal Rebbe goes on and explains, Ach b'Shavuos, v'hein if HaKoyin oisam al-lechem al Shnei Kvosim. We raise the two sheep together with the breads. We raise the Kvosim to the level of Ksavim. We are over there in the source, it's Kesev, not Keves. And that goes along together with the breads. We raise back the Kvosim to the level of Ksavim. In other words, Yaakov, we know all year long, during the Akravas HaKarban Tamid, what's the objective? When we sacrifice the Karban Tamid every day in the Beis HaMikdash, then the Hamshach is from Ksavim into Kvosim. As the Keves, Echad Ta'aseh V'Aboiker, Beis HaKeves Hasheni Ta'aseh Ben Ha'Abayim, which after all represents his Chalkus, Chesed and Gevura. Mashenki in Shavuos, we lift back the Kvosim back to the Ksavim, Milmata L'Mayla. Not Hamshach L'Mayla L'Mata, but Ha'olah Milmata L'Mayla, as we elevate ourselves every day. And we reached, during the count of Sfiras HaOmer, during the count of the Omer, we reached the climax and Shavuos, and then we reached the ultimate unity of the Shara Chamishim, and we raised the breads and the Shnei Kivsi Atzeres to Korbanei Shlomim to a higher level, Lifnei Havaya, as Al Rebbe will explain. Ki hinei beis halechem v'hainu im halechem. Noch einmal. Ach b'Shvuos ve'ein if HaKoyin oisam halechem al Shnei Kvosim shemein if es HaKvosim l'maylo, he raises the Kvosim back to their source, l'shalosh and ha'mekoidon, ha'allah malmata l'maylo, b'chinas Ksavim, back to the source as they are over there in the level of Ksavim. The sin comes before the base. You see the mile of the midas over Chachma, as mentioned before, li'ez b'telim ha'miyachadim be'ein saying baruch ha'mamash, where they are all bottled, mamish, and even from bittul b'metzias mamish, v'hainu im halechem, ki hinei, inyan tnufois shtei halechem, the inyan of the tnufois, the raising of the shtei halechem, is, what's the inyan of raising the breads? And then we'll understand why we raise along the two kivsei atzeres along with the breads. Ki hinei, inyan tnufois shtei halechem, the raising of the, first let's explain what's the raising of the two breads. The two breads represent Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbat Peh. It says, L'chu lachmu b'lachmi, a pasuk in Mishlei. Come and have a festive meal with my. Come join me in my meal. And whole Arichas explaining Chassidus, but it says lachmu, lashon rabim. two, so to say, festivities, which is Torah Shebiksav and Torah Sheba'al Peh, two breads. It's very high levels. L'chu lachmu v'lachmi. And those two levels of bread, Torah Shebiksav and Torah Sheba'al Peh, are connected with their ultimate source, the Eibush de B'lachmi. Kihein, these two breads, B'chinos Gevoyhos, are very high levels, Sheish B'Torah Shebiksav, are very high levels. One level of Torah Shebiksav and one level of Torah Sheba'al Peh. Sheish B'Torah Shebiksav, Mashem B'Torah Sheba'al Peh. We have in Torah Shebiksav, which is not in Torah Sheba'al Peh. What's Torah Shebiksav that we don't find in Torah Sheba'al Peh? Everything is explained in Torah Sheba'al Peh. What concept of Torah Shebiksav don't you have alluded to in Torah Sheba'al Peh? And those are the musical notes, as we call them, trup. Those are the timing of the Torah. Zarka, Makaf Shofar, Hoylech Segoilsa. It's interesting that the Rebbe took the Minhag HaSfardim. He chose to explain about musical notes, which is the Minhag HaSfardim. Ashkenazim have Pashta, Monach Zarka, and so on. The Sfardim is, as the Alter Rebbe writes over here, Zarka, Makaf Shofar, Hoylech Segoilsa, which they represent the Trop, V'hu B'chinas, Shehem B'chinas Nigun. Those are musical notes, song, B'chinas Mesikus V'tainuk, sweetness and pleasure. Well then, that's what it says in Tanakh, Malachim, Mahi Shiroi Chamisha V'Alef, that the song of Shlomo HaMelech, in addition to the mashal that he spoke, Shloishes Alaf and mashal, his song was 5,000. Now is not the time to elaborate. We are running very short in time. So we'll just explain the matter as it says over here, that it represents song. Another pasuk in Tehillim we say every night before Ma'ariv as well, V'alayla shiroi imi, his song is with me. So we see the quality of song in the Torah. Sha'atam imim b'chinas shir v'nigun, song and melody, lenagin, that we sing b'shira v'zimra, with our mouths and with musical instruments. Generally song, not that we play musical instruments when we read the Torah. In the Beis Hamikdash there was song and musical instruments. Al Kapanim, there is the concept of song in the Torah, which represents Meirov Simcha V'Ta'anug. Those timing come along because of the great pleasure and happiness when you learn the Torah. Sha'atam im Elohim B'Torah Shebiksav V'Lei B'Torah Sheba'al Peh. These notes we find in Torah Shebiksav and not in Torah Sheba'al Peh. I'll soon explain a little more. We don't find any explanation in any part of the Torah Sheba'al Peh. I mean, there are Sfarim from Kadmoinim, but the Alter is referring obviously here to to the Gemara, Talmud Bavli, Talmud Yerushalmi, the Midrashim. We don't find that they explain the concept of the notes. You find Fashid the Drush, homiletical explanations, and mystical explanations, and Pashtam, Munach Zarka, Vayigashe of Yehuda, Vayemer Bi'adaini, for example, Fashid the famous Drashos, but not explained per se in Torah Sheba'al Peh. Ve'ein b'Torah Sheba'al Peh shum pirush u'biur al ha'taimim levayir or lefadei shlonu shira zoyim mahu, that will explain to us what's this concept of song. So we don't find Torah Sheba'al Peh to elaborate the concept of shira, and the shira v'zimra that we find in the Torah Shebiksav. In the Beer, the Alter Rebbe explains, in short, the Alter Rebbe explains, there's a level of chokhmah, of seichel, that cannot be grasped and comprehended by letters. It's called oimek ha-chokhmah, etzem ha-chokhmah, which shows on chokhmah ilah. Very high madrega. The human being, the human intellect, cannot comprehend and grasp that in its normal way. It's not condensed and limited into the seichel capacity of the intelligence level of the human being. Rather, when we sing a little bit, says the Alter Rebbe, when we sing, by this we are megala, we represent a resemblance of oimek ha-chokhmah. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. When we sing, we're mamashich a little bit of resemblance, efes katseo of the oimek ha-chokhmah through singing. That cannot be explained in Isis and Torah Shebiksav and not be elaborated on in Torah Sheba'al Peh. Interesting to note, the Gemara says in Masechta Megillah, one must learn with a niggun, with a zimra. The mother says at the end of Masechta Megillah, Hashoyne b'lo zimra, etc. We must learn with a nigun. The Rebbe elaborates upon this in Ayom Yom, Yud Gimel Sivin, and the Tzemach Tzedek would always learn with a nigun, with a song, and the Bnei Tzemach Tzedek, the children of Tzemach Tzedek, were able to tell from what he was singing and how he was singing, what he was learning at that time. Was it a Gemara, a Kabbalah, a Chassidus, or a responsa that he was writing, Shals HaTshuvos? So the inyan of a nigun is intrinsically connected with the study of Torah and represents a very high madrega that cannot even come down into Oisius, could only be represented by the nigun, which brings great pleasure and simcha. Again, at the end of the shir, Ibn Hashem, I will share with you a story. Once we finish the Maimer, you can stay along, stay tuned to hear another interesting story about the mile of singing a nigun, the mile of song that is greater even than the regular Oisius of the Torah. The Taimim, how they are higher and show a greater level of a lakus that is not even represented in Torah Shabbal Peh. No representation. There is no explanation to in Torah Shabbal Peh. Rak. So then, what does Torah Shabbal Peh accomplish? What is the mission of Torah Shabbal Peh? Torah Shabbal Peh he pirushu v'yer yisoid ha-mitzvahs v'shoyd Hashem. Just explain the yisoid of the mitzvahs. Shapirushu bir zehu b'Torah Shabbal Peh davke. Which the explanation of this beer is in Torah Shabbal Peh, but Torah Shabbat. And here we have the advantage of Torah Shabbal Peh over Torah Shabbat. Over there you find the explanation, the expansion, which is like the Bina over the Chachma, the expansion of the intellect to explain the mitzvahs that you don't find in Torah Shabbat. So it's a lower level than Torah Shabbat. On the other hand, the expansion and the elaboration of Torah mitzvahs you don't find in Chachma of Torah Shabbat, rather in the Bina of Torah Shabbal Peh, which really is implanted in the Rotzain, which is the Eibishter's will, the mitzvahs, as explained elsewhere in Chassidus. Ki ein shum mitzvah Torah Shabbat shaloi ti'i yatzricha lepirush uvir Torah Shabbal Peh. Every level, every mitzvah of Torah Shabbat must have its explanation of Torah Shabbal Peh. Keitzad ti'i derech hasiyas ha-mitzvah uveiz ha'oifen, and at what level? So upon him, the two breads which have a taste are representing l'chu lachmo b'lachmi, Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbal Peh. Sagt der alte Rebbe, v'shvuos menifin beis b'chinas halechem l'mayla b'mekayla b'sharasha. And in Shvuos Hashem says, v'moishvoisechem taviu lechem tenufa, we raise the bread to the mayla b'mekayla b'sharasha, back to their source. That they should be totally united in the light of the Eibishter. On Shavuos, we raise the bread to the highest level. Over there, in their source, they are totally connected with the ultimate unity in their source, Lamailo. We raise the breads back to the Shayrish, and they become united and connected in a revealed way. We are Zoiche to see the unity of Torah with its source. Over there we can accomplish, in its source we see clear the level of Ihu v'chayoyichad, Hashem and His chayos, Hashem and His attributes, and all levels of the Torah are one. Ihu v'chayoyichad is translated in English as His causations, the Garmoyichad are vivifications. But Eidal is just talking generally not about all midas now. He's talking about the level of Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbal Peh, Chayoyi, the Chayes of the Eibishter, which is the Chayes of the world, the source of the world. Basada B'Amoris Nivro Elam is Torah. He's tackled by Raisu Vod Alma. So the Eibishter's Chayes with which he creates the world, which is Torah, is connected with the Eibishter in ultimate unity L'mayla. Hu Hayedeyav, Hu Hamadachulu. Hashem is the one that knows, as He establishes and develops Himself in the level of Yediyah. Hashem is beyond any description. But as Hashem, in its L'mayla, as He contracts His light into the level of Yediyah, so over there we see L'mayla, how the Eibush is one with the level of Das, with Torah, as we say, Das Torah, the knowledge of Torah. Hu Hayedeyav, Hu Hamada, the Eibush is the one that knows Hu Hamada, and He is the power of intellect. Hu Hayedu, and He is what is known. It's total Achdus. Overhand bal yodom, and then as we raise the breads back to their source, Hashem says, raise also the sheep. We then take the sheep, as mentioned before, kvosim, and connect them back to their source, to the source, as they are called ksavim. As they all become bottled to their source, so on Shavuos is the holiday of Allah Mulmata Lamaila, as we prepare ourselves for Mulmata Lamaila to count the Omer. Every day we count another Sfira illuminating our Nefesh Bahamis, and ready to see, bringing back our animal soul back to its source, basically taking our keves and bringing it back to the kesef, where it should be a tachlis abitul of yesh to ayin, but as we remain in this world, a world of creation, and neshama beguf, gesundheit and freiligkeit. That is also why we find that it was baked, leavened. Hashem is as they are uplifted to the source, and the source of all the worlds, of all the separated worlds, as they become yesh me'ayin. And so the source of all this is in the level of hu b'chinas hamisnasim imaysoilam. Hashem is really beyond the level of days of world, as Al Teb explains in the Geras HaKodesh Siman Vav. The Eibishter is beyond the bechina from zman. That's how the Eibishter is above and exalted from the level of makom. The source of the world is beyond the level of Zman, meaning to say that the source and the Yisavus of the world, the Chayis and the Yisavus, what brings them into being every instant second, is in a level that is beyond, of course, the creation itself. Being that it's exalted from the creations, and it's not mamish affected by the creations, chas v'sholem, like, so to say, the life force of the body is affected by the body itself. That is why, being that the source of the worlds does not envelop itself in a oifen of total isachdus, total islapshus, total envelopment, islapshus, as the chayas of the islapshus of nefesh beguf. In other words, there is some exaltness and separation from the chayas and the creation. Therefore, that's why it's possible that the chayas of the creations could feel separate. They could feel that way, that because the slapshus achayis is not totally slavish in a oifen goli in a revealed way. But rather, when you come back, when you bring them back, when you bring them back to the shoydish, which the shoydish is a level of misnasim imaysoilam, higher than the limitations of this world of zman and makom, of time and space. Nasu gam heim b'chinis isnasus. So they also become on a level of isnasus exaltation. Shalamayla. B'chinis isnasus shalamayla, in the level of isnasus, which is how it's above. Because they became united ultimately with their source on Shavuos. And therefore that's the level of chametz. Chametz shows leavened, hisnasus, risen bread. Bread that has risen. Leavened bread. So chametz shows how the Torah Shabbal Peh and Torah Shabiksav and Torah Shabbal Peh go back to their source. The Maila, and over there is in the Bechina from hisnasus, hecher from Yemoyis Oila, beyond limitation. And over there you don't have to limit yourself down to the level of matzah. Over there, once in a level of bittul, of matzah, total bittul, then you can also dwell along in a level of isnasus with chametz, because it doesn't interfere chas v'sholem with your understanding and your avoiding the kedusha. Paket, you're serving Hashem with chametz as well. And that's the union of bringing together the sheep together with the breads and rising them together, lifnei Havaya, to a level that's higher than Havaya. That's what I'll tell you to explain now. You when a hefresh being kivsi atzeres, levein shnei akvosim hatmidim, levein shnei akvosim hatmidim layoy. And this is the difference between the kivsi atzeres, the sheep that are brought on Yom Tov, the two kivsei shlamim on Shavuos, the peace sacrifices, the kivsei shlamim, which is called zivchei shalmei tzibur. They were shlamim that belonged to the whole community. It was a communal offering, but it was eaten by the kahanim. Levein shnei akvosim hatmidim layoyim. To the difference between those kvasim and the two kvasim, the steady sacrifices that were brought every day, Baboiken and Be'erev, as mentioned before. Ki shnei kivsei atzeres, because the shnei kivsei atzeres, him shlomim anecholim livaolim. They were dafke shlomim that were eaten by the owners. In other words, the kahanim that represent all the Jewish people. Mashenkin shnei kivsei atmidim layoim im oilos. They were karbanis oilos. L'chayr, it should have been just the opposite, as mentioned before. If you are going to raise sheep back to its source, it should have been a karban oila. Why dafka karban shlomim? So the Alter Rebbe says, no. It's the same Indian, just like by the breads. They were not matzah. What were they? They were chametz. That shows, as when they come back to its source, chametz doesn't interfere with the level of kedusha. They adapt the same level of their source, which is isnasus, gehoibenkeit, represented by chametz. So also the sheep have also that same quality. The bread has that quality, and the sheep has that quality. What's the quality? They are dafka karban shlomim. They are eaten. They are eaten by the person, by the yid, because it's not a stira. You can have the neshama beguf and enjoy having the neshama beguf and eating, of course, for the sake of kedusha, not like a karban oil that's totally absorbed and departs chas v'sholem from the tachten, total halah, but you have that fusion of halah and amshacha as representation of chametz in the bread and karban shlamim in the sheep. In the veinik, inside of us, you when I hefresh mein kivsi atzeres levein shnei hakvasim atmidim layoim, ki shnei kivsi atzeres im shlamim, hanecholim livaolim lebaylim, hasheken shnei kivsi atmidim layoim im oilos. Because the carbon tamid was being mamshich two separate carbonis tamidim, right? As we mentioned before, that you mamshich from the kesev into the keves, into the level of olam apirud, we have chesed and gvura, not total unity. Every attribute remains separate in its manifestation on its own canal. And therefore, because then, if you're going to be feeding the owners the carbon oil as they get often, then you're going to has to show them the whole objective was that it shouldn't be a unique asachitzoinim, but as it comes down lamata in the level of aksavim hifrid Yaakov. So in that level of oilam apirud, where there's this chalkus of chesed and gevura, we're trying to avoid unique asachitzoinim. If you're going to feed the bailim, being that the bailim are not on the level of total achdus, so therefore, over there we cannot allow the bailim to eat. In other words, the bailim representing Klal Yisrael who bring the carbon tamid. It comes from their account, from the shkolim and all this tzedakah that you didn't give. They sacrifice from the kesef hatzibur, kupas hatzibur. So over there they don't eat, because if you eat, it can chalila be a unique asachitzayinim, a nurturing chas v'sholem of sitra achra as well. We're not yet on the level to eat and to be total bottle. When you mamshich malmata l'mayla l'mata from ksavim into kvasim, we over there you have chesed separately and gvura. So over there it's not a time to eat. The bailam cannot eat. It remains a carbon oila. But tzarech is kulei kolil, totally sacrificed and brought up to the Eibishter on a daily basis. Avol kivsei atzeres shehem al lechem abikurim tenufol lifnei havaya mashenkin. Otherwise, the kivsei atzeres, the two sheep that are brought on Yom Tif, which are brought up together with the lechem abikurim, together with all the breads that are also risen from the ripened grain, the first breads. which were brought to Nufa here, that Torah says Lifnei Avaya, indicating L'mayla b'mekoyim, higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei, in the level of Kesed. As I mentioned before, the sheep represents a very high level, and the wool of the sheep represents the hair, the wool of the Atik Yoim, in a very high madrega, Lifnei Avaya. When they are united, Lifnei Avaya, L'mayla b'mekoyim, back to their source, L'bechinas Kesavim, from Kvasim it becomes back to Ksavim. They also united together with the Shtei Alechem. There's no separation, there's no Yischalkus. Over there, Fakir, the sin goes before the base. There's no Yischalkus of Chesed and Gvura. They become united with the Shtei Alechem. Sham, ain't Shlita Yunika Klal. In that level, it's such a powerful light. So there's no Yunika from the Chetzoyim. They become blinded. They become extinct. All the Chitzoyim, the Ksitra Achra. There's no Yunika. Therefore, there are shlomim, peace sacrifices that can be eaten by the Jewish people represented by the Kahanim, Zivchei Shalmei Tzibor, and it doesn't interfere. There's no Yenikas HaChitzonim. You can use chametz, and you can eat the korbanei shlomim. And as the Rebbe says in the Eile Kasichos, that Shavuos, Hakol Moedim b'Shavuos, the Ba'atzedas, the Bina Nami Lachem, Shavuos Adarabe, the whole yin of Shavuos is Dira B'Tachtoinim, to connect this Olam HaTachton as it's an Olam HaTachton. That was the purpose of world creation. Not Chas v'Sholem, so then Ois Welt. Neshama Beguf, Gesund and Feiligkeit, and a world, and yet as you are maintaining that level, as you're maintaining the purpose of creation, which is Adira B'Tachtoinim, in that level, we have the Bechina, the unity with Torah, and Sharach HaMishim, and therefore that is the whole purpose of Torah, Hakol Moedim Ha'atzeres, the Be'ina Nami Lochem. Okay. Quite a difficult mimer. A bit longer than usual. This was a real tenufa mechayim. The Alter Rebbe has has raised us in a level of chayis with this mimer. As mentioned before, there's a big beer. Again, thank you very much to Yagdil Torah for arranging this shir. As mentioned before, this shir was Le'il Nishmas, Moras Masha, Bas, Reb Chaim, Rafel, Yitzchak, Zechenu Leveracha. Those that want to stay on, feel free to listen to a few stories that are connected with this shir. Number one, mentioned before about, it says in Mishlei, B'chochma yibona bayis, uvisvuno yiskoine. The development of the house, and the upkeep of the house, and the expansion, and the renovation of the house is bisvuna. But the building of the house is for chochma, as explained before by Arichas. I heard from Reb Gavriel Rebashkin Langezund. He was the first one that renovated his home in Crown Heights on Carroll Street. And he told me he felt perhaps a little bit uncomfortable, awkward. Should he do it? Because he was then the only one. It shouldn't be like, you're piercing somebody's eye, stechen de Augen. So when he went to Yechidis, he wrote it in his zettel. And he asked the Rebbe, should he make a remont, a renovation? As the Rebbe used to always read the zettel and answer along as he would read. The Rebbe would uplift his holy eyes and look. And the person who came to Yechidus HaBenefesh, connecting with the Rebbe. So the Rebbe was looking in the zettel, and the Rebbe says, "Und das, was ihr fragt, wegen machen a remont, about making a renovation." So the Rebbe says, das ist a gleiche Sache, it's a proper thing. But, nicht I sollt machen, nor sie soll machen. You should not be involved with the renovations. Rather, only the lady, your wife, she was standing in Yechidus, should be involved with the renovations. And the Rebbe doesn't need any support. But this is exactly what Shlomo Melech is saying. B'chochma yibona bayis. The husband pays the bills. Everything starts from Chachma, where the lady is Bina, Uvisvuna Yiskoinein. Renovations in a month soll sie machen. I also want to mention, we spoke about before, the mile of Nigun, of song, the power of song that is in Torah Shabiksav, that represents Chachmi Allah. I heard from my father, Olav Shalom, we know that the Mojitzer dynasty are very big in Nagina, in song. Rebbe Schenker, Olav Shalom, was a Mojitzer Chassid, very famous singer and composer, Rebbe Schenker. He lived in Crown Heights. He actually once sang a song by the Rebbe honored him to sing a song by the Fabrengen. A song that he composed in honor of the Rebbe's capital Tilim. The words were Velikim Malki Mikedem Poelishu Es Bekedav Haaretz. Mojitz is very big in Nagina, very well known, very famous. The Rebbe alludes to that in one of the Heilige Sichos, in the famous Sich of Kom Rabba V'Shachtil Rab Zera. The Rebbe said he was one of the Polish Rebbes, Admurei Poilin, that he had to be operated on, and he didn't want anesthesia should be given to him. So he said he's going to compose a song, he'll sing a song, and that will uplift him higher than his physical boundaries and limitations, and he won't feel the pain, and so it was. The Rebbe doesn't say what song it was, but I heard that was the Ezkara song. He composed a song, Ezkara, and I heard one song, one Ezkara he composed had 32 stanzas, and one had 16. And later on, he himself had difficulty reviewing and repeating the Ezkara that had 16 stanzas. And the song that he sang on the operating table was the Ezkara. So when he lived in Tel Aviv, he lived after the war, he came to America a while, and then later he went to Tel Aviv. So there was a Jew that approached him and said, "Why are you so much involved with Nagina? You're such a smart man, a Talmud Chacham. He actually had a yeshiva, he ran a yeshiva, was on a yeshiva and gave shiurim. Why are you so much involved with music? Perhaps you can give that time more for the study of Torah." But the Moshe said, "Der selber haboicher bar Torah v'Moshe avdoi is der selber haboicher b'shirei zimra." We say in the bracha to the Torah, haboicher bar Torah v'Moshe avdoi. And we say every day after davening and during davening, after we sing the shiros zishbachis of David HaMelech, we say nishtabach haboicher b'shirei zimra. Equally is important for Hashem and dear to Hashem. Haboiche b'Torah avdoi, haboiche b'shirei zimra. And here we learn that the shira represents even a higher level, Chachmei Ilah. I heard this from my father, Olav Shalom, many years ago. And at one of the Siyumim HaRambam here, taking place in Crown Heights, there was a speaker that represented the Mojitzer dynasty. I think he was a yeshiva of the Mojitzer yeshiva. He spoke very well, wonderful, and I approached him after. As he was leaving the hall, I asked him this story. I heard from my father, and I wanted to know, what does he know about the story? He says the story is accurate, exactly how you heard, but he said that the Mojitzer added al derech hatzachos. He added another knech. He says, "Haboiche b'Torah v'Moshe." You're in a level of avda. You can remain in the level of eved. Haboiche b'shirei zimra, melech. You reach the level of melech. Upon this is what we learn over here as well. The great mile of Torah Shabiksav that has taimim. What is important to know, just to conclude, how the Rebbe said that he doesn't want bar mitzvah boys should be spending their time on the Kriyas HaTorah with the trop. They have many more important things to prepare themselves for the Bar Mitzvah. Shulchan Aruch, lots of Shulchan Aruch, Birchas Hanenin, and all the Shulchan Aruch Tefillin from the Alter Rebbe, not just from the short version, the Halacha books. And the Maimer to know well, and the Pilpul, the Rebbe says now is not the time. Then is not the time for it. The Rebbe said you should be mefarsim in my name, that it should not be done. We also put in the kid in a lot of stress for no reason. And there's a lot to discuss this, but I just found it necessary to mention this now. Though we're speaking about the great level of time in trop, one should understand that everything has its time, and that the Bar Mitzvah is the time to prepare himself for other matters that at the time of the Bar Mitzvah are more important than studying in the Kriyas HaTorah. Everybody be well, and we should be zoiche to prepare ourselves for Shavuos. And hopefully Mr. Hashem Mashiach will come before Shavuos and will sacrifice the Shtei HaLechem and the Kivsei HaTzeres in the Beis HaMikdash in Mirza Hashem b'mheira v'yameinu mamash.